Hi, welcome to a final exam review for the algebra test. Alright, the exam will have 30 problems, 5 points each for a total of 150 points. There are going to be 2 problems on each type of concept. All the questions will be multiple choice and you will have 3 choices. First of all, know that now is not the time to give up. Now is the time to fight. And by watching this, you are making a choice to fight. Okay, so you will be treated with a question similar to this, and then be asked if you can write anything that is equivalent to it, or be able to recognize something that is equivalent. What's a good strategy is to solve this for its quantity, then solve the options for their quantity and see if they match. So PEMDAS, 49 divided by 7 is 7, plus 8 times 6 is 48. This side right here, this expression, is equal to 55. You'll have options A, B, and C. Do the same for those, and if it equals 55 also, then you have found an expression that is equivalent to the one stated. Alright, you'll have a couple of questions like this, where you'll have options to see if any of those make this a true statement. We have limited time, and I know that this one is the correct one, so I'm going to start with it. What you need to do is plug and chug. Assume that x does equal 4. Put it in where it goes in the equation. 3 times 4 is 12, and that does make a true statement. I'll try A too, just so that you can see how it works when it doesn't work. If x were equal to 2, what would we get? 3 times 2 is 6. 6 does not equal 12. A cannot be the right answer. You'll need to be able to simplify absolute value statements. Remember, anything inside the absolute value bars is actually a positive. So the absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5. The absolute value of 2.3 is 2.3. And 5 minus 2.3 is 2.7. The correct answer would be 2.7. Be able to take algebraic expressions and translate them into math. 9 less than a product of a number. Product of a number would be x. Product of a number and 4, we're multiplying 4 times that x. 9 less means we're subtracting 9 from it. Whenever you see is, think equals. We have been able to make that into a math statement. Give me an example of the associative property. 3 times 2 times 5 is the same thing as 3 times 2 times 5. They're associating with new friends, but their order has not changed. The commutative property, we'll take that 3 times 2 times 5 again. That does equal 3 times 5 times 2. These are equal but commutative. The 2 and the 5 have moved. The distributive property, 2 times 3 plus x would be equal to Grandma giving presents to each member of the parentheses. 2 times 3 plus 2 times x, or 6 plus 2x. Be able to recognize when the distributive property is being used. Right now, you're probably feeling about like this polar bear right here, but never fear, you can do this. Alright, be able to solve equations. To do this, we'll need to get the variables all together on one side. Let's subtract 3x from both sides. When we do, we get 2 is equal to 4x minus 3x gives us x. Now to further isolate that x, we need to remove the 7. Negative 7 plus 7 gives us 0. X is now all by itself. 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. Okay, you'll be faced with something like this. A word problem. We need to first state the equation in math. The number of donuts, D, is 4 less, so we're going to subtract 4 from something, than half the number of cookies. So 1/2 times C. Now we'll need to solve for C. If we are looking at which expression represents the number of donuts in terms of the number of cookies, we're essentially solving for C. So let's isolate C by adding 4 to both sides. We get D plus 4 is equal to C divided by 2. Now to get C by itself, we need to multiply both sides by 2. When we do, we get 2 times D plus 2 times 4, which is 8, is equal to, the 2's divide out, and we get C. C is equal to 2D plus 8. You'll need to be able to recognize or state the intersection and or union of sets. Remember, intersection, if we have two roads that are intersecting, the intersection is just where the two overlap. Where is the overlap in these sets? It's not 2, but they both have a 3, they both have a 5. They do not have a 7 or a 9 in common. The intersection of these sets would be 3, 5. The union, however, oops, and I put a tail on it, you shouldn't have that, sorry, would be all of the members of both sets. Like so. Okay. Leonard paid $3.56 for 4 donuts. What's the equation to calculate the unit cost for each donut? Well, he paid $3.56 for 4 donuts. C, or the unit cost, is equal to $3.56 divided by 4. Be able to solve for y. What does solve mean? Solve means to have y all by itself. First step here is we'll need to distribute the 4x to both members of the parentheses. Let's change that to a negative 2z first. So 4x times 3y plus 4x times a negative 2z is equal to a. Distribute this across and we get 12xy plus 4 times negative 2 is a negative 8xz. What are we solving for? We're solving for y. What do we want to get rid of first? Let's look at that. If we add an 8xz to both sides, what do we get? This goes away, negative 8x plus 8x. That gives us 12xy on this side, and I'm not following my own advice by putting a tail on those. A plus 8xz. We want to get y all by itself. We'll divide both sides by 12x. That cancels out, and we get y is equal to a plus 8xz all divided by 12. You'll be given some equations such as this. Here we're told that the distance formula is equal to the product of rate times time. You'll need to be able to translate that into a formula we can use. Then we'll be given some values. Sheldon ran at a constant rate of 150 meters per minute. Let's plug that in then. The rate is equal to 150 meters per minute. What else have we got? How many minutes did it take Sheldon to run? We don't know t then, but we do know he ran 300 meters. Let's plug that in for our distance. Meters per minute times time. We now have plugged in our information into here. We have a valid equation. We just have the responsibility to try and match it to one of the options given. We could divide both sides by 150, which would give us t is equal to 300 minutes divided by 150 meters per minute. That is a valid option. Be able to manipulate the equation in several different ways to be able to recognize which one of the options is correct. Okay, given the formula, be able to calculate the area, base, or height of a triangle. Area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. If we know that the area is equal to 50 and that the height is equal to 10, how big is the base? Let's plug and chug. Our area is equal to 50. 1/2 is a constant. The base we don't know. Our height is equal to 10. We can simplify first. 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. 50 is equal to 5 times b. Now we can divide both sides by 5, and our base is equal to 10. Okay, be able to evaluate absolute value equations. Here we've got our statement right here. We'll need to plug and chug. We know that a is equal to negative 2.9. So we have the negative absolute value of negative 2.9 minus b, which is negative 1.3. So anything in absolute value bars is a positive quantity. When we drop the absolute value bars, this becomes a positive 2.9. However, we still have a negative hanging out in front. Right here we have a negative times, well, it's not times. We have the addition of a negative quantity. Negative, negative becomes a positive. Negative 2.9 plus 1.3 gives us a negative 1.6. Two more problems left, and I've got 2 minutes. Be able to simplify, not solve. Notice there are no equal signs here. We are not solving and finding out what x equals. We are only simplifying, and that means finding the like terms and combining them together. 4x plus 7x is 11x. Do we have anything for the y to combine to? No. Y squared is not the same thing as y. So we have taken care of that one. Do we have any regular numbers? We do. We have a negative 9 and a negative 1. When we combine them together, we have a negative 10. And now we're left with the negative 3y squared. We have simplified that expression. And last, you will be given a problem like this with a system of equations. You cannot solve it at this point in time. However, you can plug and chug with the options provided you. I know that this one is correct. The first term is always x. The second term is always y. I will plug and chug in and see if that makes a true statement. I like the first one because then I don't have to do fractions. If my x is equal to 2 and my y is equal to negative 2, will that equal a quantity of 20? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times a negative 2 is negative 8. Oh, this is 6. Sorry. I was like, that is not turning out right. 2 times 6 is 12. That looks better. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8.